Hey everybody, it's Andy. Happy Thursday, helping you build a career you love. Great to have you today. Get in the chat, say hi. Let me know who you are. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what you do. Let me know what you need. Make sure to put some question marks in front of your questions. If you're in one of my programs, use a hashtag. Let me know if you're a boot camper or a leader, or if you're in any of my other programs. I always love to give you a shout out. So great to have you. I'm in, well, this shirt is much greener than it looks. It looks a little limey on the camera, but I think it'll work today. Okay, one tiny little change today. We are testing out some of YouTube's tools, and if you are in the chat, I know you are subscribed to the channel because it's a subscriber-only chat, which I want to thank everybody who's in that chat for being a subscriber to the channel. Now, there's not really a major infraction other than it bruises my heart if you don't subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I don't want you to miss any of my new videos on Tuesday, or live office hours on Thursdays, or community appreciation next week. So if you'd like to chat with me, I'd love to have you. It only takes one little click of the button to subscribe. You only have to be a subscriber for 1 whole minute in order to get into the chat and ask me questions. So please do. I hope that clears that up if any of you are having any technical difficulty. Okay, would love to say hi. And let me see, Unrepentant Drew. I know that's my Drew boot camper from Atlanta. How you doing today, buddy? Hope you've been okay. I see you're telling me it's been a tough week. Got passed over by several gigs. Tough to keep my head up, but I'm still trying every day. Best wishes from Atlanta. Okay, that is great news. Not that you got passed over. I like to think of those as little pawns being moved off the chessboard. Those just weren't for you. So hang in there. And I know you submitted your lottery ticket for the Win the Coaching Time with Andy next Thursday. And we got it. It is, we are evaluating that. So maybe, you never know, Monday we're going to pick the winner. So hopefully we'll draw your name out of the hat. Adam Stark, and by the way, I want to run through a couple of questions, and then I'm gonna show you some statistics from the polls we ran on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn this week. The results were kind of interesting, related to the case study interview video I put out on Tuesday. And if you missed it, please watch it. I hope it gives you some new insight into that. So, this is a very, very good question. Here, Adam, my friend from the other side of the pond, great to see you. Thanks for being a subscriber. Thanks for showing up every week. And Adam's asking me, other than the 14 best interview questions and a few of your videos, what other specific questions should you prepare to answer in interviews? Overwhelmed, there's so many to prepare for. Role equal event planner. Okay, I would like everybody, number one, to give Adam a shout out for perfectly structuring the question. This is like a model little question here, because he gives me the question marks. He asks me the question in the context of what he's already tried, and he told me what he does. So that's like, we just need to give him a little gold star. Can we at least give him a high 10 or whatever? But this is, all kidding aside, this is really a great way to get me your question, and he got it all in there in 200 characters. So a couple of things, just to kind of level set with everybody here, because I realize, Adam's been following me for a long time, but some of you probably just found me 10 minutes ago. I have I have a book here that I wrote. It's one of the 3 books that I wrote, called Interview Intervention, Communication That Gets You Higher. And for still a short, we've been giving it away for 3 years, and for a little while longer, it's still going to be $7 materials and handling. I'll send it to you anywhere in the world, and we give you a whole bunch of extra stuff when we give this to you. And inside this book, the reason I grabbed the book is because he referred to the 14 best interview questions. There is a silver bullet interview chapter in the Interview Intervention book where I go into what I consider to be the 14 most effective interview questions an employer can ask you in a job interview to get a holistic view of you. And then in there, I also go through 43 variations of those questions, why they're being asked, what they're looking for, and the best response. So So he's prepared those, and then there are a number of other videos that are on my YouTube channel in the job interview playlist that also highlight more. Now, here's what I would do. So I'm gonna change the question a little bit, because the answer I really want to give you, Adam, is not to try to prepare for interview questions. When we prepare for interview questions, what that does is it puts our focus on the responses we want to answer in the interview. And what most people do when that is their focus is they try to memorize their questions, or they try to remember everything they want to say, or now they got to remember which stories to choose, and so on. I don't ever like to do that. I always like to understand the type of question it is. There's only there's two types of questions when it comes to the basis of time. There's questions about your past, and there's questions about your future. Or if you want to look at it a different way, there's three contextual type of questions. There's questions that are behavioral in nature, meaning they're asking you to pick a particular story of your choosing by going into your past and answering a question that they have using a story that they are allowing you to choose and speak to. So anytime you hear a question about tell me about a time when, or tell me about a problem when, or tell me this thing you didn't like about, or tell me about a time you disagreed with somebody, those are behavioral questions. You get to pick your own story, and it's about your past. Then there are questions about project-based questions about how did you do this specific thing. This is also a question about your past, except this question is about something you've actually done. And they're saying, can you tell me how you built that thing right there? Adam, can you tell me how you planned that specific event for those people in 2017? Right, something like that. So they're asking you to walk them through how you did something. And then there is situational questions, the third type, which is about futuristic scenarios, which may be fictitious. How would you handle it if you had this customer who was difficult? What would you do? What would you say? Or we have this problem, how would you solve it? Or we need you to build out this team, how would you do that? Something like that. Or here's a case study, like we talked about on Tuesday. So those are the three different types. Now, I don't like to prepare scripts and those kind of things. I like to prepare outlines for each of those in how I want to answer them. And I'm actually not going to keep going with this answer and tell you exactly how I would handle each one of those, because I've already given you a whole video on that. I will regale you for 28 minutes with how to go through each one of those and what to remember about each one of those. And then, the futuristic ones, you don't need to worry about it because you're going to solve a problem that they're going to put in front of you. A project-specific one, you don't really need to worry about remembering and preparing because you actually have lived it. So I teach you how to recall that very easily using an outline template that you have for what it is that you do as your trade, in your case as an event planner, right? How do you plan any event is what you really need to remember. That's simple. It doesn't matter which question they ask you about. And then the behavioral stuff, I teach you how to segment that as well. So it's not about being overwhelmed by the number. First off, I don't want to tell you how to feel. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you're overwhelmed. But you can remove the overwhelm or reduce the overwhelm if you focus not on the number of questions they can ask you, but the different type of questions they can ask you. I've just given you the three types of questions they can ask you. And the only thing you really need to concentrate on is how would I answer each one of these? And then when I get into the behavioral interview questions, and in those 14, there are some behavioral interview questions, a number of them, which stories would I choose? And that's it. That's all you need to do. And then follow your outline and go. But I would check out that video. And I know I went on a little bit there, but it's really a great question. And I know a lot of people get worried about this. So Adam, great one to kick us off. I really, really appreciate that. And you know what? Since we're about, almost 10 minutes in, I want to go to the poll here for a second. I got a screenshot I want to show you. One of those, actually, great little segue here. One of those types of questions is a situation. So let's just springboard off of Adam's question here. There's the behavioral, which is I get to choose a story, any one I want to choose. It's the one that is where you are at greatest risk of poorly answering the question because of a poor choice of the story that you choose to tell. That's the behavior. The other one is the project-specific one. Just to recap it, is how did you do something very specific? They're going to point you to it and tell me how you did that. And then there's situational ones, and one form of a situational question is a case study. Hey, here's a piece of paper. Can you go read this and whiteboard how you're going to do this? Hey, we're going to email this thing to you in advance. How we want you to put a PowerPoint deck or a Prezi presentation together and bring it in, and we're going to do a round table and you're going to present and so on. That's another way of doing it. But I was asked this question a while back in live office hours. We cut up the clip and then I put it out on Tuesday as a short 6-minute, 18-second video, something like that, about case studies. So we ran a poll on Tuesday, which we're doing now each week, about how people are feeling about certain things related to the topic of the week. And here's what we asked people, and here's actually what they told us on the different platforms. And what's really interesting is in YouTube, this one in the upper left, those are the YouTubers. And there was about 248 votes, so similar between YouTube and the one below, which is LinkedIn. About a third, it was pretty much across the board. So whether people really like these, now personally, these are my absolute favorite ways to interview people, because this is the best way for you to be able to actually demonstrate how you'd operate in their environment. It's easier for them to see if you truly can do it. And what else is awesome about this? This has nothing to do with asking you specifically, do you have the experience, or how many years of this or that do you have? They're just saying, here, how would you do this? What does this give you an opportunity to do? It gives you an opportunity to neutralize if you're one of those job candidates who's on the lower end of the skill spectrum or the experience section, because if you crush the case study, that's the thing that's going to carry the day, right? And so you might not think of it in those terms, but the people on YouTube, about 1 in 3, more or less, although this is fairly even across the board, and most of them like it. I think it's great. There is a good number of them that still do worry about people stealing your work. I would not be overly concerned about that. The LinkedIn crowd was really kind of 1 and 2, and that's about the same number of votes. I found that to be very interesting, and then generally the others were more or less the same at 1 in 5, maybe 1 in 10. And then on Facebook, these are a little bit rearranged because Facebook sequences it based on the leaders. But some of the folks in the Facebook group are not sure how to prepare. It's not really about preparing for these. It's about knowing how you've done what you've done in the past. And when you're given an opportunity to actually do one of these case studies, the most important thing is you want to talk it out loud, or you want to show your work, or whatever the medium is by which you're doing it. Sometimes you're doing it on a whiteboard while they're sitting there. Sometimes you're doing it on a presentation. Sometimes you're recording a video or something of that nature. I know companies who actually do the case study as a first way to screen out candidates. If you're interested in a marketing position with my company, please put together a short video on blah, blah, blah. So interestingly enough, I for those of you that are nervous about this, I like to show these results because, number one, I want to reiterate, these are a great way for you to strut your stuff, and you should welcome the opportunity to do this. And I do think a lot of people get that. At least the poll results show that. And if you are nervous about them or want to do well on them, I would highly recommend watching the video I put out on Tuesday. I believe it was called Case Study Interview, Best Tips from an Executive Recruiter, or something of that nature. So check that out. I think you'll really like it. And thanks to everybody who filled in the poll. Daniel Mahias, how are you, my friend? What do we got here? I'm doing well. Back in May, you got rejected for a position. They said it was going into the next round and changed their minds. I noticed yesterday they posted the same position again, and I would like your opinion about reapplying. Should I contact the recruiter? And then can you please share your thoughts on how to approach this situation? So this is really a great one. The important thing is it depends. The answer is it depends, because when you are reaching out to an organization who rejected you, if you parted on great terms, as in they came to you and said, Daniel, you're a super dude. This other person, she just had a bit more experience that we were looking for. She was a bit more of a bullseye. Okay, so that's great. Okay, you didn't make it. She came in second. That's fine. Or we wish you would have had a little more of this, but we really like you. We think you'd be a great cultural fit. Stay in touch, right? Any of that stuff, or they never got back to you, meaning you don't know why. Now, any of those, anything where there's doubt in your mind, or you generally feel that you parted on good terms, somebody edged you out, or for whatever reason they were looking for something a little different, in those cases, the answer is yes. If they say, Daniel, you just don't fit here, you're too abrasive, you're too this or that, you don't fit culturally or whatever, and there is a clear issue that you do not align to them, then I wouldn't bother. Now, you asked me, how would I approach this? Now, the approach depends on what they said to you. Now, if you don't know, if they said they were going, all you said was they said they were going to the next round, they changed your mind a few days later, but you didn't tell me why they changed their mind, and I'm assuming that you know this, that they were clear and explicit that they were not moving forward with you, meaning it's not like they, and I hate the word, but ghosted you. So if that's the case and you are not sure, this falls into the I'm not sure why, and I'm not sure why they didn't proceed with me, I would simply email the recruiter and say, I noticed that I really enjoyed, actually email the recruiter. Now, if you did this really well, you would have followed my script with how to get the job after being rejected. It's okay for you after a couple rounds to send that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a video on the YouTube channel about how to get the job after being rejected. You send that script. I'm not going to go into that. That's in the video. Now, whether Daniel, you did that or not, I would send an email to the recruiter and say, hey, so-and-so, I really enjoyed meeting with you and your team a few months ago, or whenever it was, several weeks ago. Certainly, sorry, disappointed, whatever, that it didn't work out, but I noticed that the position is reposted. I thought it would give me a great opportunity to reconnect with you to see if you felt this time around that I would be a suitable candidate for the role. That's it. Now, what's going on here is person could have shown up and crapped out. Person could have taken the job, never showed up, right? Any number of things. We had one woman in my job search coaching program. She's a boot camper. She started a job and then weeks later, interviewed for another position inside that company and got that role, which means she vacated the role she took the job for 60 days later. Right? 60, 90 days later, something like that. Anything could happen. But to go back to them, it would be great to have the context of why you did not get it in the first place. But in the absence of me knowing that advice I gave you is the backbone of how I would reach back to them. So good luck on that. That's fantastic, buddy. I hope maybe second chances are pretty good. And one other thing that I think is key to this. Y'all don't realize, unless you do hiring at a majorly high velocity of many, many people, that the number of times that the employer has it in their head that this is what they're looking for, and you have to have this or that. And as time goes on, what happens is they relax their standards, or they realize, because they get more desperate, or they realize, I didn't really need that to begin with. I could do without that. Or I'm going to have a really hard time finding what I was hoping I would find for. So the next best thing would be. And then Daniel, you're hoping that you're there, that you standing still as time moved on made you look better. All right, so good luck with that. I think that go get them, and I think you got a good shot here. Connie Cotter, great to see you. Always great to see you. I love it when you're around. I know you're really busy in your job, and you got a big time job and all that good stuff, but we miss you around the shop. What else we got going here? Elizabeth, great to see you. I am doing great. You had an interview with the hiring manager 2 weeks ago. He said they were going to get back to me in 2 weeks, so I will follow up next week. Okay. Atta baby. That's right. You see what she did there, right? She's not going to call him today because it was 2 weeks ago. They said 2 weeks. She's going to give him a little grace. All right. However, I'm not sure if it's better to follow up with the HR recruiter or the hiring manager. Also, is it okay to follow up via LinkedIn, or would email be better? This is awesome. Okay. She's going to follow up. Now, one thing that recruiters... Okay, now mind you, I want to be really clear what I'm saying here. When you are interviewing with a company and you are interacting with hiring officials, human resources executives, and corporate recruiters, that's different than when you're interviewing with a company via a third-party executive recruiter. Okay, and it is different when you are interacting with them via LinkedIn or somebody reached out to you via LinkedIn. I'm talking about you are now in the interview process. What I'm giving you counsel on is being in the interview process. You're in, meaning you've already been communicating with them via email and phone or text or whatever. Okay, so you are direct line with them now. If they say we're going to get back to you in 2 weeks, the first part of your question, who should I contact? It depends. Whoever is your quarterback, meaning 90% of the time, if there's a recruiter or a human resources person involved in bringing you in, screening you, scheduling your calls and your Zoomers and your in-person interviews, that's the person you go back to and you follow up with. If it's a smaller company or the hiring official says, I'll be taking the lead here, interact with me to arrange this and that. That happens sometimes, it does. Then you would go to that person. But I'm guessing based on what you shared with me that there is a HR person or a recruiter, or that's the same person. That's the person I would reach back to. I would not, once I was engaged with the company, ever go back to LinkedIn. I would never go back to LinkedIn. Do not do that. You are interacting now with a person who likely has an applicant tracking or a CRM system of some sort that is housing your interactions. So, for example, even though we're an executive search firm, when you would email me or Kara or any of the recruiters that were on the team at the time we were only doing recruiting, that email would go into our email server and into that person's inbox, whether it was Kara's, mine's, or whoever's. But if I went into our CRM system, I could see the trace of all that stuff and all the interaction, the emails going back and forth. And if I had to get back to you, I could go into the system, hit the reply button and go. But there was tracing of that. They love that. They want that. Okay, so now, even if they don't have that, most of them do, but even if they didn't, that's still the route to go. Stay on the platform that you've now moved to. What's the exception here? Hey, it's Andy. I'm a corporate recruiter over at company XYZ. Elizabeth, I'm reaching out to you and via LinkedIn in an in-mail because I'm using LinkedIn's corporate recruiter feature, function, plat overlay, and I'm interacting with you. Now that I'm interacting with you and I'm reaching out and we're preliminarily discussing whether we're going to get together, have a phone call, have a Zoom session or whatever, you stay on that platform unless I say email me at, right? So you want to be careful. But once you're in the interviewing process, I would never go back to LinkedIn. That's me. And if they send you a LinkedIn message, then reply to them on the platform they sent it. But that's going to be the rare exception rather than the norm. And so that's what I would do. That's what I would do. It's a great question, and it does get tricky. It does get tricky. And by the way, for all y'all, wait, okay, Stacy, cut it right there for that clip. For all of you that are in the Mile Walk Academy, like my boot campers and my leaders, and once you get into these programs where you're paying for support, we don't want you sending, well, you can send me a LinkedIn message, but if you're trying to get support, we don't want you on a different platform other than the one where we're offering the interaction and the support. So, a lot of you are, inboxing me on Facebook and LinkedIn, Instagram, and all. That's all great if it's social and fun, but which I welcome and you can do. But if you need help or you want interaction or you need response or support, stay on the platform that you're paying for, that you're engaged in. So that's a little plug there for all of my beloved premium members who we love. Speaking of, okay, next week was officially Community Appreciation Week, where I fawn all over you. We give all kinds of stuff away. And just so you guys know, on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, we got some killer free live shows on the YouTube channel. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday is Knowing What You Want. I'm going to break down, it's a multi-phase talk. We're going to talk about who you are, your requirements, some other things, really, really good stuff. And then on Tuesday, I'm going to be talking about how to add power to your resume and interviewing stories using one of my favorite checklists that I have, and I'm going to walk you through everything. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to talk to you about money, about financial worth, and how to make sure you've got everything in order. You can visibly see it. You know where all your pennies are. You know how to project certain things. And I'm gonna walk you through all the different buckets and some other stuff. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's all free. Just show up on the YouTube channel. There's no reservations required and no fees required. On Thursday, I have a private coaching session with members of my job search coaching program. Those are my boot campers. You hear me call them that. It was formerly known as the Job Search Boot Camp. It's the same program. There's a private session, for a multi-hour private session with just those folks. 3 of those lucky winners in that program are going to win some live time during that session with me. It's going to be a great one if you are interested in that. And then on Friday, I have a session with my leadership coaching group. That's a different body of people. That's about career development, high performance, the self-help kind of stuff, where I talk about lifestyle and wellness and communication and influence and building relationships and all this organization and productivity and goals and all that other stuff that lifts your career and your life. That's on Friday. That's a monthly membership or a yearly or a lifetime membership. But anybody who's actually in my job search coaching program is getting a special invitation to that session on Friday, and it's on building the corporate culture you want. And I'm breaking down 9 or 10 different areas related to culture. Everything from what it is to how to define it, the mistakes people make, how to recruit for it. If you're on the other side of the recruitment desk, meaning you're being recruited, you're going to want to see this. So it's really great how to communicate it and all that stuff. That's all week, every day at 11. And so everything in the Mile Walk Academy is actually, let me just show you. If you have not visited the page, you can go here and you can just take a real quick peek of what is available. So if you just head to the main page, this is the job search coaching program. That's the Thursday meeting. But the resume workshop is $200 off. The interview collection of courses is $200 off. We've put the job search challenge and some other things on sale. We've never sold it before. And it's going to be $299 starting on Friday next week, but you can grab it for $99. It's got my networking templates in it, which many of you have asked me for. Do I ever sell it separately outside of the coaching program, of the job search coaching program? I never have before. You can get it now. There's also the mini camp that you can buy as well. If you are currently a mini camp member, you're getting a special deal on your upgrade to the boot camp if you want to get in there. And then all of my leadership, the leadership coaching is available. That's the Friday session, but all of these individual programs that are bonuses inside the leadership membership are also discounted. So like a popular one, this Career Accelerator is normally $397. You can get it for $97. So you can see the prices down here. The Productivity Challenge and the Goal Setting Masterclass are also $97. So you get a couple $100 off the productivity stuff. You get $100 off the Goal Setting, or you can join the leadership membership as well. Check that out. It's on the front page. I've pinned the link in the chat. So, that's all week next week. That stuff's going on. Everything I got, we discounted everything we had, and I even added stuff that I didn't have ever sold before, and we put that out there too. So I hope you guys take advantage of that. Let's see. And to Daniel's question. Okay, so Jay, my boot camper, how you doing, buddy? Further to Daniel's question earlier about reconnecting with the recruiter, is there a need to share an updated resume or stay with the resume that was submitted earlier? Awesome question. If it's me, I would say, hey, as I've been active in my search, I also updated my resume because I took a little more time since I've interacted with you. If it's been a short while, meaning like it's been a month or two, you might want to couch it and say, I've taken a little extra time. Here's an updated version, right? It's like, well, hang on, how much could you have done in the last 2 months? Or if it's a year and you're going back to the recruiter, then I would say, since, over the last year, I've also gained skills in, and then I would, then attach it there as well. Oh, that's great. That's great, Jay. That's great. That's a great tack on right there. John Marks, how do? Deidre Bird, great to see you. Thanks for being such a great supporter on LinkedIn and other places. By the way, if you guys are not connected with me on LinkedIn, please connect with me directly. Like, go to my profile. The button says follow, which you might be doing, but then there's a little drop down or something, and then it says connect. And hit the connect button so you and I can be connected first degree. Number one, I like to be connected first degree with you because while you might follow me, I don't get to see what you're doing. So I would love to have you in my newsfeed and see what issues you're facing so that I can be in touch with what's going on and bring better stuff to you. And the other thing is, I also want to make sure that if my network is, can help support you finding a job, then you're welcome to leverage that. I have quite a few connections. And, I always like being in touch with you guys because you're my, number one, you're my community and I love you. And number two, you're my very best source of what you need from a service standpoint. So great to have you. And Deidre, thanks for all of that, all the shares, all the comments, all the stuff. You folks, you don't think I don't notice that? That is like one of the first things I do every single morning. It's not like I roll out of bed and like I check social media and I want to see. This is my life. This is my job. I need to know what's going out there. That is part of my morning routine, and it's great. And I love to see what you're saying, and I love to see what's resonating with you. I see who comments. I know what you got going on. I check out your profiles and all that stuff, for sure. Flying Uber Tuber, great to see you. Joshua Kirby, my buddy, and Tony P. I love you, brother. I see October, whatever that is, that Friday, October 22nd or whatever the date is. Flying Uber Tuber is apologizing about something. Hang on, no need to apologize. Let's see what you got here, my friend. Sorry, this is what I was trying to ask last week. Okay, create your target company list. How many companies per hour? Okay, so that's, this is great. This is good. Identify potential bosses and managers. How many potential bosses and managers per hour? Crafting your boss hunting message. How much time and research in crafting the message? I love that. Okay. All right. So let's try to break this down. What Flying Uber Tuber is asking is this thing over here. This thing here, this job search challenge on the left, this program is the in-depth way to go about doing what I consider to be the most effective job search activities that lead to your finding your dream job the fastest. It's actually job searching, not applying for jobs, which is what a lot of you are doing in the applicant trashing systems by your submitting your resumes into the corporate portals. Okay, now there's 2 ways to learn about what Flying Uber Tuber is asking me. There's a couple of free videos on my YouTube channel. If you type in Job Search Challenge, or if Stacy's nice enough to put the 2 videos in a row for you, then you'll see the public view of what I say to do. The system view, the one with the orange card that I just showed you, has a lot more to it, breaks it down. You get a lot more templates and a bunch of other stuff, and troubleshooting and all kinds of goodies. Now, what Flying Uber Tuber is asking me is, if I'm gonna use the structure from your job search challenge, and my job search challenge is identify 3 companies a day that you will reach out to that can use your services because you're interested in them, you have services and value you can contribute to them, you have skills that you know how to do that job, how to build that product, how to service that product, or whatever, and you feel like they could be a potential target company. Then once you identify companies first, then you identify people within those companies that you would ultimately try to get to. That could be a boss, like my boss hunting technique. It could be a team member. It could be an HR person or whoever. And if you can't figure out, maybe you don't know who the boss is, maybe you can't figure out the team, maybe you're not sure. If you say, hey, I know somebody who knows a lot of people over that company. So it's a multi-step process. Part of identifying a person each day within each of those companies, so that's a total of 3, could be, well, hang on, my friend Andy seems to know everybody over at that company. I'm just going to email Andy. That counts, right? You're networking, right? Okay. Then once I do that, I want to send a message in the direction of those 3 companies via those people. Right? So I'm either going to go to Andy, that counts as 1, or I'm going to go directly to the company, or that counts as 1. Or I got my 3 companies, I'm going to send a message to each company each day. So that's 3 on Monday, 3 on Tuesday, 3 on Wednesday, say 15 a week, or 21 a week if you want to work every day like I do. And so UberTuber's saying, okay, I'm going to do that, but how much time should I be spending creating coming up with the target companies? Well, it depends. So if it's me, what I like to do is I like to bulk up my target company list. I like to give myself a running start. And maybe like the week before, I would probably have a running company list of all the companies, and I would research companies. I would just research companies. And that would be that. Now, I would give myself 50 companies, 25 companies, whatever. And I would say, okay, well, next week I'm going to pick 15 of these companies, or maybe more if I could. And I'm going to pace myself, and I'm going to send messages daily to these people. Now, if you bulk up, I could probably find 50 companies without turning a computer on and just taking my notepad and writing them out. That's me. I'm experienced. I know the spaces, or I could probably come up with them off the top of my head. Then you could start triangulating them after you use the different techniques that I've given you in the public, how to create a target company list, the 12 different steps to do this. You could continue to build your list using any and all means of those 12 or more. Now, how fast you do that, it depends on your proficiency level. It depends on your knowledge of the space. It depends on how quick you are with the thumbs and the clicks and the Google searching and looking at lists and those kind of things. So it depends. And it's also you're going to be faster in the beginning. And then you're going to get even faster after you've been working at it a little bit. And then you're going to slow down. Why? Because you're going to reach saturation levels. It's going to be harder to find more. Okay? So how much time you should be spending, I have no idea. I could probably sit down with a cup of coffee on a Sunday morning and sketch out my entire week in under an hour with all the people I need to target. That is not a good measure. So some people are going to spend hours and some people are going to spend minutes. The most important thing for you is not how long does it take me. The most important thing is, did I send the 3? Did I send the 3? And what I would do is I would say, you shouldn't be spending a lot of time looking at companies. Look at that. That company looks decent. The website looks decent. They don't look like a bunch of maniacs. I'm going to check it out. Figure it out on the back end, meaning 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, go. And then find the person that looks like the right person, that looks like the boss. Okay, you might have found them on the first sweep in LinkedIn. You might have found them on the first sweep in the Google Boolean that we give you in our products. You might have, it depends. So I don't know how fast you're gonna find them. The point is just to find them. Now you could also bulk up the people research if you wanted, but the reason I want you to send 3 a day has to do with a number of things, okay? Number one, as you send 3 a day, what does this allow you to do? First thing it allows you to do, it paces you. Your focus is so narrow, I only got to come up with 3. It doesn't look overwhelming. That's the first thing. Second thing is, I want you to send those messages 3 a day. Why? Because if you sent all 15 on Monday and maybe the resume wasn't right, or you started getting responses on Tuesday or Friday, if you start to discover, hey, there's something else I should have put in that cover letter, you might not know that. Now, all 15 of those messages are gone and you cannot make adjustments based on the data. So I like to pace myself. What's the other thing it does? The third thing, it conditions you. So you're gonna find out more about this on Monday, but I'm gonna give you a sneak peek. It is very important for me that when I'm working with you as somebody who's not familiar with how to job search, one of my major goals is not just to give you the steps that you can take in order to do this. It is to completely change your belief template about yourself and your self-image of you and what you can do. And as you go through this, I'm giving you the steps that these repetitions will change the way you think about yourself. Because all of a sudden you're like, Andy, oh my God, I can't send a message to somebody I don't know. Except that the moment that these people start getting back to you, even if they say, thank you for the message, I don't have any openings, or thank you for the message, I'm not the right person, or whatever, all of a sudden you're going to start reshaping the way you think about yourself. Okay, all of you that have imposter syndrome, I have news for you. The problem is not in the past. The problem is you are not spending enough time in the activities in the doing, because the doing is what changes your belief about yourself. So a lot of you might have imposter syndrome as you go into the job search that you're, oh, what am I going to do? Nobody's going to want me. This is going to be hard, and so on. But I want you to do 3 a day so that you get comfortable, confident, and consistent in the act of itself. And then you'll start to see the results, which will change your attitude and your confidence. And I'm telling you this works because I get emails every day from people who say this, use the same words I'm giving you right now. So this is really important. So how much time you should spend is going to be dependent on your level of proficiency, your knowledge of the market, your ability to find, whether you have our tools, right? We could give you tools where I could surface a lot of people really fast. You want to do this on your own where you don't know much about LinkedIn's, search parameters, it's going to take you longer. Now, if you want a general guideline because you just want the answer, how much time would I spend on any of this? I'd bulk up my company search, even though I'd send the 3 messages a day. I actually would do a little bit of company searching each day anyway, and I would add to the pile, but now I don't need to pressure myself. The finding of the people, you're gonna be able to triangulate this a little bit better as you get more comfortable with searching. And the more you search, the more you're gonna find. That's gonna be a little easier. And then the third thing with the boss hunting templates, I would have my templates all sketched out before I even prepped the individual messages that I was gonna send. So what do I mean? Well, earlier I was talking with Adam, right? We were talking about having an outline for your interview response. Well, you just have, boss hunting template A, boss hunting template B. This template is C. This template is D. This template is to a teammate where I can't find the boss. All right, now, all those are ready to go. What are you doing? You're dropping names in, you're insert, oh, hang on a second. That position calls for more of this. I'm gonna actually take this accomplishment and replace the other accomplishment. Oh, new template, that's template F. That's template when I'm going to that kind of company where there's no job opening and they have these products, right? Like, okay, now I don't have to rewrite that thing ever again. All I have to do is change names out, right? So this is there's blueprinting up front that you'll do that will expedite your ability to do this. Now, some of you are out there going, Andy, hang on a second. I work 40 hours a week. Okay. Do all this stuff on the weekend. All right. And then can you itemize the 15 you're going to say? What do you think I do every week? We got emails going out to you every day next week. Those things are written, batched up, Kara's loaded them, and they're locked to go. They're done. I'm not spending that time next week. Next week, I'm worried about my energy so I can come here and give you everything I got, right? Like, all that stuff is done in advance. Do it on the weekend. Figure it out. Wake up early. I know I am really going on about this, but this is so important. This to me right here, number one problem you all have. Meaning this is the number one hurdle you got to get over in order to get the job you want. Yeah, there's stuff you got to figure out. Yeah, there's stuff you got to do up front. All that stuff needs to be in order about your direction. But a lot of that is easier to get through than the working mechanics each day, each week of doing this stuff. So I know I talked a lot and I didn't give you a specific amount of time, but the point is you should, after a few weeks of this, you should be so good at this. You should be spending only less than 2 hours it should take you in a day to do all of that stuff. Meaning you've got other time if you're unemployed where you can go even further. Or if you're working, right, you can probably get it down to less. It could be just pushing the buttons each day. So I think, I hope that smashed that question, because you should not need to be spending a lot of time. The template is written once, and then you have a formula. So I hope you got that. I mean, that's great. I am so glad that you asked me that again, because that is a really, really good question. How much time should I be spending each day? While the answer isn't so cut and dry, I hope that helped put things in perspective for you guys. And you know what? If you're loving this, can you click the like button and share it, please? Because people need help. Imagine if, I don't know how many of you guys are actually here with me, 100 and some odd. Imagine if every single one of you just shared this with one person. And then it takes nothing to click and boom and go on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever. So I hope you do that. Dana, how do to you? Dana, you asked me a question in the system this week about something, and I thought it was a pretty good one, and now it escapes me. Boy, I wish because I could have given you a little feedback right there. Bob, how do? Great to see you. You know what? The shirt is really green. It's like I like my purple shirts show up blue on here. My yellow shirts don't come in as yellow as they are. My orangies are good. You know I love wearing colorful shirts. So you guys, who was it? Deb? I don't know if Deb is here. And Deb asked me a question, I don't know, way back when, and we cut it up and put it on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, please do. And she said, oh my goodness, I was just looking for that. I was trying to find it. And there it came out, and I told her, Deb, if you ever ask me a question, like if any of you guys ask me a question, you should be writing down, hey, Andy, I asked that question to Andy. He was wearing a collared green polo shirt that day. Just another little reminder, breadcrumb of how to find it. I'm telling you, it's true. You guys think I'm nuts. I'm a little nuts. All right, Joshua, I might be OCD. Tried to get resume down to 1 page. How bad does a 2-page resume look when the second page is only 2 lines in length? Joshua, I guarantee you, I could get rid of those 2 lines for you. And I probably could give you a whole extra inch on the bottom of your first page if need be. So first off, it is a little fun. Like people ask me, well, is it okay to have like 1 1/4 page? It is. But believe me, you can get rid of some words somewhere on that first page. Would it just be better to elaborate or put you do whatever you need to. If like you really want a 1-page resume, then you can trim somewhere, or you can get a little more wordy and you can put more stuff in. Either way is okay. Don't sweat this, man. Anna, how are you? My boot camper, and Lori and Jet. You guys, all my boot campers right there. And Connie Cotter's got a question. Connie, I hope you are here live for me. I'm going to check in later and say, hey, did you hear me live at 11:48 when I answered that for you? I know you are not a lawyer, but we play one on TV, don't we? And when sharing training on content that one learned from someone else, what is the proper way to reference them? AKA, give credit so as not to violate copyright trademark. I want to share some of what I have learned from you, potentially for money. Okay, so there's a couple things. Now, there are certain things that we have that are actually trademarked. The technical term is service mark, but everybody knows trademark and copyright and registered copyright. Now, what you cannot do is you cannot take my booklets and then just shove them out and distribute them. And some of you, with good hearts, by the way, you go to these community groups and you take my downloads and you share them on the community public site. That is a copyright infringement. So we actually almost on a weekly basis, we have to sweep on a weekly basis. We send nasty grams to people that are gentle that say, would you please take that down? And then when they don't, we send cease and desist messages, which is really painful. And it's not good for anybody. So if you are using concepts that I've taught you and you are making them your own and you are verbalizing them without putting anything in print or on a website or any of that stuff, then you don't need to, you can say, hey, I learned this from my coach Andy and this is where I got this from. So, I mean, there are little traces of things that I teach you guys that I've picked up from other people. And what I try to do is, when I think about who I am and what I want to be and what I want to do for you, one of the things that is a tenet for me is that as a coach, where I'm going to teach you about certain things, that there is a practical world knowledge embodied in everything I share with you. The act of me doing it is what gave me the lesson, which I'm now reverse engineering and giving to you. Okay, that I'm a practitioner coach. You got other coaches that are collectors coaches, right? Well, I stole this from so-and-so. I interviewed so-and-so. I got this technique from them, but they've never actually done it themselves. And then they coach that way. That's fine. That's, I'm sure they'll find customers who will pay for that. And so that's them. So with me, whatever I have learned from anybody else, I will wrap it in stories of my own, using analogies of my own, using experience of my own, and then teaching you through that lens. And then making sure that when I'm teaching, there are certain components that go into the teaching. So I don't want to just give you the steps. I want to tell you why it's important to do it the way I'm teaching you so that you understand when you have to implement this stuff, that you understand the rationale, because I'm not sitting there going, no, it's do this, this, this. Hang on, those conditions changed. All right, well, now you understand. Then you can change it. All right, well, all of those things, you will never see anything from me in print. I would never, because I take that copyright stuff seriously, because I have lots of copyrights and trademarks with that are worldly governed, and so I would never distribute it. But the concepts that make their way into this noggin that come out to you are from my 90% my world experience and other things that I've learned, and I'm sharing them with you. That it's not a copyright violation. Now, you can't be using certain terminology that's been copywritten or has registered trademarks that exist. So if you took a mile walk, if you took this document, okay? A lot of you do this. You take these documents and you put them out there on sites or you distribute them anywhere. That's a copyright infringement, and it's actually copywritten down in the corner. There's a I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little copyright down at the bottom that shows that. But even if it doesn't have the copyright, it's still copywritten because I produced it. So there are many variations of this. If there's anything you ever need, like I want to teach that, you could call me, email me. But I would be careful of what I was distributing. That you're taking, and I know people do that with my leadership stuff because it has widespread applicability. So be careful, and then you can also give attribution that this is from, and then you can direct them, but you have to just be careful. Just be real careful. And I would consult we've been on the phone with the IP attorney like every week, I've been interacting with him every week this past month on stuff, which is really funny. All right, I know we really went on that. Iman, how you doing, buddy? Great to see you. Lori, lottery ticket. Lori, yes, the boot campers. So for those of you that are in my job search coaching program, my boot campers, if you're not reading your emails, you got to know that we wrote up a nice email for you. We sent it out on, Kara, what day was it? On Tuesday, I think it was. And we sent you, or Tuesday or Wednesday, we sent you a message that said, we want to know what your biggest struggle is. 2 sentences. They got to be 2 non-run-on sentences. That's your ticket. You email us back. We got a whole bunch of them back. And Kara and I are pouring through them. And we're going to pick 3 of you so that we can actually interact with you live on Thursday, and everybody will be able to see it, but it'll be like winning a mini coaching session with me. That'll be part of the coaching session. So get yours in. Ying, how are you? And Laura Cobb is a everythinger in every Andy group. What ticket? That so okay, I guess that's for you too. I do want to run a poll. We are, speaking of groups, we have finally settled on a technical platform where we, outside of Facebook and LinkedIn and any of these other places, where we're going to be creating the entire community platform. I'm too tired of when I'm going through and trying to read your stuff in the groups, and I got ads being bombarded. I got stupid videos that Facebook is trying to distribute to me. I got other things I don't want to see when all I really care about is looking at Jess's, victory dance and answering a question from Jetting or whoever, and I'm like I got all this stuff in my face, and it's not. These are not good platforms because they're just so overrun right now. So I wanna let you guys know that we're going to be weaving you into this, and I hope you really enjoy it. And we're going to start with the Team Apollo people, which hopefully we're going to get in next week. Kurt, speaking of Team Apollo, good morning. I can relate. All right, hang in there. Connie, love the stars. Han Yin, what do we got here, buddy? I was told that I should not expect a typical. Let's just get this up here, buddy. So you're one of my guys, right? I was told that I should not expect a typical HR screen. Any guidance? What can I expect, and how should I prepare differently? I have no idea what they mean. None, mind you. But my counsel would have been, what do you mean it's not a typical HR screen? Is there anything in particular you want me to be ready to discuss? I would have asked. I would ask. I would always ask. I would ask them. Because they're the only ones that are going to be able to tell you what they mean. So if you were going to talk to, say, Kara, and you wanted to interview at the Mile Walk Academy, she is not going to give you a typical HR screen. She's going to ask you different stuff because she's not an HR person, and it's the first one that you're seeing. So I don't know who you're talking to. I don't know if it is an HR person. Maybe the HR person is a practitioner in a past life, has working knowledge of what you do. I mean, my only counsel there, I have no idea. The only counsel there would have been, I would have asked, what do you mean in particular? Because if somebody's going to say that to you, then they should at least offer up what the heck they're talking about. Go get them. Laura Cobb, every program doing the entrepreneur thing always asked, what's your why? I create an acronym, who hears you? What pain do I alleviate? And what's my niche audience? Thoughts? Okay, so I'm not sure if you're asking, I'm not sure if your question is, what do I think of? So how you want to describe yourself is entirely up to you. The why that drive, by the way, speaking of who, why, and all this other stuff, you know that expression like start with why? Okay, every time I hear it, even me just saying it right now, literally makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. And I cannot stand it because you can, how wrong is that? You can't start with why, right? What do you have to start with? What can you can't have the why question until you have what? The who, right? Who I want to be. who I want to be, then why do you want to be that who is the second question. So for you, if you're asked what's your why, I'm not sure if customers are asking you that or what, but everything that we do goes back to who we are. Every goal we set, who we are, the goals we set, the path we take, the process and the steps leads to the operating lifestyle that we create for ourselves. And every choice along the way goes back to who we are, and everything that we do changes how we see who we are. That was the self-image thing I was just talking about 10 minutes ago, right? It's in the doing. So for me, if you're asking me how I would respond to something like this, if somebody asked me what's my why, I would have to tell you, well, before I could tell you my why, I got to tell you my who, right? And who I am, right? I'm a career coach and leadership coach who helps people build rewarding careers and live fulfilled lives. And then there's that's who I am. Then there's how I do what I am, or what I produce, or what services I offer. So I don't know how to say that without knowing specifically what your goals are. Are your goals in this to sell your services to customers? Is it to get a job elsewhere, or what? But if you could hit me up next week or in the boot camp session or whenever, I'd be happy to go into that. Or even on Monday, we're going to talk about some of this stuff about knowing what you want. Goes back to who you want to be. So it's that's the way I look. That's the way I look at it. And by the way, Laura, thank you. Can I do please? I am terrible at this. But can we give a shout out to my team, to Kara and Stacy, who are probably running around there and making all the meters run and the gears turn. Believe me, it's quite an active event to be them during these shows. Wes Miles, good to see you. Oh, Adam, the 28-minute video I was referring to was a video I released on a Sunday, and it was the 3 types of interview questions, the 3 types of job interview questions. And it's if you just type in 3 types in the YouTube channel, or you type 3 types LaCivita, it'll come up in Google, it'll come up. And there's Deb. Deb, glad I got you that little video there. All right, Jay, what's the good word here? I using the boss hunting techniques, I reached out to an old acquaintance, a senior executive in a targeted firm. He replied graciously seeking an update call. Should I treat this as an interview? Okay, so couple things, and you didn't ask this. Remember, the boss hunting template assumes you do not know the person. Okay, so I'm hoping you modified the whole, I was just, researching, admired, discovered, this and that. Like, even if it's an old acquaintance, I'd say, hey, so glad to get reconnected and all that good stuff. But if it then, okay, that's the first part. Second part is how you treat the call has to do with the strength of the relationship that you had with this acquaintance. Is this an old acquaintance because you worked together for a long time ago, and you know each other pretty well, you just have lost touch? Or is it, hey, we spent a month on a project together, we sort of hit it off, but then our paths just went this way, right? So, all that plays a factor. Now, assuming that it is an acquaintance and it's an old acquaintance and you have lost touch or you haven't really been in touch, there's a lot of catching up you're going to need to do, or at least reshaping of how he or she or they remember you, right? You don't want them freezing you in time, depending on how well they knew you back when. So should you ask me a yes or no question, should I treat this as an interview call? I treat everything as an interview. I treat this as an interview. Okay, so that's, I would always be on my toes, but I would. But I think there's some nuggets in there on that. Iman, boot camper, how exactly do I build an outline? How is the outline constructed? I'm going to refer you back to the video because I tell you exactly how to build the outline. But to give you an idea, here's just a quick example. If somebody asked me, Andy, how did you run that project, that IT project? Okay, here's the outline. Well, first thing I have to do is what's the problem. Second thing I have to know is who the stakeholders are. Third thing I have to know is what business problem am I solving, and I have to go gather the requirements. Then once I gather the requirements, I have to architect and design the blueprint. Once the blueprint is designed, then I need to go and develop the software. Once the software is developed, then I need to go and quality assurance test it, or unit test it, quality assurance test it, user test it, convert it, make it go live. There's your outline. Okay, every single time. It's every single time. That's exactly what every project looks like. Okay, so you got a construction project? I gotta know what the building is that I'm building. I gotta have the blueprint. Once the blueprint is done, I gotta make sure all the materials are ordered. I gotta have all the subcontractors lined up. Like every single story is gonna go that route. That's your outline. For if you're a project manager of IT solutions, that's what you're gonna say every single time. And then you feed it in. You feed the bones in, right? That's the skeleton. Then you put the muscles on it, okay? That's an outline. If you're going to answer a behavioral interview question, my outline is philosophy, process, outcome, PPO, or whatever you want to call it. That's the outline every single time, right? And if you go into a situation, if you're a project manager, you say, well, how would you run this project? Okay, well, hang on. First thing I need to do is this. And you take your history and the outline from all those projects you ran or all the problems like that you solved. That's what I mean by an outline. That's how you build it. That's a great question as well. And I would go back to that video. I think I'm guessing that Stacy is already way ahead of me and has this in here. But it's a really good video for you guys to check out. And if I'm remembering correctly, I'm going to go out on a limb. This is really testing me, people. I'm going to say we did the job interview mastery workshop toward the end of January. No, beginning of February. That video came out January 31st. Go to my YouTube channel, January 31st. That's where that video is. Okay. Mr. 97, great to see you. Angela Fuentes, hey to you. Adam, we got you that one. New Life Curator. What's the good word here? Got invite for video interview with Anthem. Okay, great. Believe it's a screening for recruiter, meaning for a recruiter position or with the recruiter. Didn't find a contact and committed sin of the ATS. Is this the new phone screening? Okay, I'm totally lost. If you got an invite for an interview, video interview, I'm wondering if what you mean is you got an invite for a one-way video interview and you went through the applicant tracking system. Is this the new phone screening? Okay, I'm hoping I got that. All right. That's specific to Anthem and specific to companies who want to use those one-way video interviews like HireVue, and you will be glad to know that on July 29th at Live Office Hours, for free, I am interviewing Kevin Parker, who is the CEO of HireVue. You will all have a chance to ask him questions. And you can ask him in advance and you can ask him during the show. And I will be going back and forth with him. Now, to answer your question, New Life Curator, you practice consultant, I think some companies are using these up front to, as a way of not spending time interviewing you on the phone or with the Zoom or, the Google Hangouts or Skype or whatever. So yes, it is unfortunately a technique that some of, and you tend to find it more with the larger companies. Lee Dollar, what's the good word? And Laura, what advice would you give to your younger self when starting out as an entrepreneur? What do you know now that you wish you would have known then? Okay, there's only one piece of advice that I would give myself. Literally, I would not change a thing. This is the one piece of advice I will give every single one of you. This is all together. Everything will be fine. You're going to make a shit ton of mistakes. Hurry up and make them faster. Okay? No hesitation. literally, just go, right? I'd spend less time blueprinting and more time doing up front. I would get things out living and breathing as fast as possible, which I always preach. So all that's the same. I wish I would have made all the same mistakes. I just wish I would have made them sooner. Okay, because believe me, what you get every week from me, especially in the leadership program and all the things I teach in that program. So I'm talking, you guys get, the job search stuff, which is coming from me as an executive recruiter, as a hirer and all that from that vantage point. And I did have to job search in my life. But what you're really getting are the lessons that I've learned by the doing and the making of the mistakes. So whatever it is that you're passionate about, Laura, and I know that, physical and mental health and just wellness is a big thing for you. And, you want to be an entrepreneur, hurry up, go, make the mistakes, make them as fast as possible. This is not about being reckless. You're going to make the mistakes. You are. And by the way, what I do might look reckless to some people when I would say, no, I'm taking chances. I have to figure that out. I have to triangulate it. Don't you think for 1 second that you're going to get it right in the first hit. So the advice I would give to my younger self is start faster, get things out and make them live and breathe faster, right? And go. You're going to make the mistakes. Just make them as fast as you can. That's my best advice to anybody who wants to do anything. Greg King, I was in the interviewing process at the same time for 2 jobs. Awesome. And got an offer on one of the jobs. Awesome. I have not heard back from the other job that I'm more interested in. How long should I wait to accept if I prefer the other job? Okay, Greg, or King Greg, so yeah, I don't know if your name is actually Greg King or if you just are calling yourself King Greg. But what I would do is I would always be communicating throughout the entire process that I'm in the process with both of you right now. We're moving along. The one that gave you the offer, I'd say, remember I told you I was interviewing with that other people. Well, those other people were not done yet. The people who were not done yet, I would say, hey, remember that other company that I was interviewing with? I just got an offer, and I'm trying to get a sense of how much longer you feel this process will go, or by when you will make a decision, because I would like to get back with them to see, you're my first choice. Now, I'm going to go play it this way because you told me this was your first choice. You're my first choice. I really love you more. I would rather work here. So I would like to do whatever I can to get back to them, to give them an idea of when I will be able to have a firm answer. I appreciate if you cannot give me a firm date, but I'm just trying to, understand what you feel, how long you feel the process will take. If it's going to be a month, I would like to get back to them and let them know right away because they're not going to want to wait a month, right? If you gave me the offer first, you expect the same courtesy and so on, and you go at it this way. Then you're going to say, well, how long should I wait, or how hard should I dig my heels in, or how hard should I push, or all of those things are completely dependent on what you want. If you want that job more, you might push less. If you are, you feel like you got more leverage here, then, you push harder. So how long is a function of how long will the other company wait? What's reasonable, I can't even answer what's reasonable. Some companies, I would tell you this. Here, same guy, I'm interviewing a candidate. If I interview a candidate for 8 weeks, a day is reasonable for you to respond to my offer. Why? The longer you were incubated, right? You should have been doing all your thinking. You shouldn't need to go take 2 more weeks to decide. If you were in the process with me for a week, I might need to give you a week or 2 to think about it. You follow me? It's probably the opposite of what you think. So, what's reasonable also depends on that. So I hope that helps. If you are in the job search bootcamp, if you are in my coaching program, I have a whole session on just this, on how to handle multiple job offers. So that's a little something for those of you that are in the program or interested in getting in the program. And by the way, let me just reiterate, I'm not going to show you the page again. Head to the Mile Walk Academy. The thing is pinned up there, and every course that we have, every single thing is on special. The one rare exception is the leadership program, which is always a great price, but has great bonuses. But the bonuses that come along with the leadership program, those are all on sale. So if you want to buy them individually. So, and show up Monday for more on knowing what you want to kick us off on the official Community Appreciation Week. All right, let me see. Steven, I think we got something here. I love the company I work for. It's 6 years old, and I've been there for 3. Awesome. Because of my experience, I get pulled into many projects in other departments. How can I leverage this career-wise? So this isn't about leveraging your experience in this company. This is about deciding, based on all those places you get pulled into, if you like any of them more than the others, you would pick a career path and accentuate that. Or if you like the diversity, and you want to leverage this career-wise, I would be, if you're looking to leave, then I'm looking at other small to light, medium-sized companies where you could wear many hats. And then touting that versatility and your ability to do many things. And the other thing is to handle a number of responsibilities simultaneously well. The other thing is exposure to different parts of the business. So it's one thing to say, well, I'm wearing many hats and I'm working in technology and I'm architecting, coding, testing, and so on. That's wearing 3 hats, but it's in one segment. It's another thing to say, well, hang on a second, I'm on the IT team, but I am actually getting involved with the marketing people and I'm writing white papers and we're doing social targeting and also I'm seeing other things. That's a different thing. So it depends on, I'm gonna always go back to who do you want to be, what your goals are, and then you leverage the experience that you have to get to where you want to go. That's what he's asking here. How can I leverage this career-wise? It isn't about leveraging that. It's about picking where you want to go and then shaping where you've been in the best light that provides you the most credibility, right, in being sought for these kinds of things. So that's the way you got to think of it. Where do I want to go determines how you shape your resume, how you shape your elevator pitch, how you shape all that stuff. The advertisement, your LinkedIn profile, and all that stuff. Laura Cobb, yes, this chat is only for people who subscribe. I do not think that is a big deal. That if you want to chat, that you got to click the like. It's free. Yes, that's true. All right, Angela, what's the good word here? Advice for going to a virtual coffee house networking event at my dream company. There are several open roles I'm qualified for. How to focus my efforts. It's using speed networking. Oh my God. Okay, okay, I've seen this. It's nuts. Okay, like it is pretty interesting. So my if it's me and I'm networking, I always want to get them to speak first. Okay, so meaning, hi, who are you? What are you looking for? Like, oh, you're on this team or that team? What do what do you need? I'm here. I'm open. There's a number of things that I can do. I love your organization, and I would get them to tell me what they need, and then my response to them in the networking aspect and letting them get to know me would be how I fit that. Oh, I have experience doing that at such and such, and blah blah blah, and this and that, and I ran this and that, or whatever. And yeah, it's pretty nuts. But that's what I would do in any networking event, whether you were in person or if you were going to an informational interview, like a lot of you guys like to call these, even though I always think anything's an interview. But that would be my advice there. One thing you might want to do, Angela, is I have a video on my YouTube channel about how to. It's about career fairs and about how to use your 5 minutes to get a job interview. It's a popular video. It's one I did a very long time ago. And I would check that out. It's the same principle, and it doesn't matter. You're just doing it in a screen, so versus a booth. So check that out. Let me see. Wait, something. Are you in a different channel here? Hang on. Kara, I think you had something and then you took it away from me. It's very confusing. Okay. Aylin, you're never late. You're right on time. I hope you got the book. William, great to have you too. Some of my good people right there. I never get tired of that mug. I'm assuming you mean, is it not this mug, but the mug that you have? By the way, it has been a low priority, but I would like to get you guys some better swag. So that's also part of like dealing with the attorneys and other stuff. So we're getting there. I knew what you meant. Jennifer, what's the good word here? I think this is a question. I got offered a contract position without an interview. One of my requests was to speak to the hiring manager. That call is slated to happen this afternoon. How should I approach this conversation? I would approach it like you didn't get an offer. This is highly irregular, that I would say, and because even though you're offered even though it's just a contract, it's not just a contract. I mean, like they're going to pay you to do something. Say, hey, I very much appreciate your faith in my paperwork. I would probably make a joke, and I would probably say I would love to know a little bit more from you on, on what you need and how you like to work with contractors. And I mean, I would ask questions like, what's up with this? But that's how I would approach that. Tutkalia, I wish I know which boot camp of mine that was. I took a job, but it wasn't a good fit. After this experience, I don't want to continue in this field. Do you recommend using a functional resume to help transition careers? Okay, couple things. Folks, I'm never going to slide by when you ask me an awesome question like he or she just did. I could just answer this and say, so first off, I don't ever want you to use a functional resume. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're changing careers. Makes no difference. I want to go back to, after this experience, I don't want to continue in this field. Remember, there are certain things that you need to ask yourself. Is it, just because you had a couple of organizations where maybe this wasn't great, you didn't think this fit, are you actually truly evaluating? It could just be these people, right? As opposed to how to leave the field. And as a matter of fact, all right, Stacy, I'm really going to challenge you here. There's a video out there in the YouTube archive somewhere about how to know when to change jobs, and I think it's in YouTube. And if it's not in YouTube and it's on Instagram, I need you to pull it for me, because this is exactly what this person needs. Is there's a pecking order. I know the title was like how to know when to change jobs, but there's a pecking order for you to evaluate to determine should you actually make the change. The same process applies if you're changing careers, and there is some soul searching that you need to do, because most of the time when people get out of a career, they're getting out because there's certain things that they didn't like doing. Now, the question is, did you not like doing them, or did you not like doing them with the people you were doing that with? And that's just a simple way of looking at this, how to decide whether you should change jobs. And can you just tell me where it is, or pop it in the chat for those guys too. But actually, I'd like to know just for my own edification. So when you look at this, you're asking me about should you change your resume. If you want to know the answer to that question, I would not use a functional resume. I would. You're in the boot camp. The first place I would go is I would go to the career changer module, and I would roll through it, and you can go through those teachings. There's the 4 stages and the 12 steps. Now, you can never cut corners on this, because you need to be able to do this. But I would go through that process if you truly want to make a change. But to answer your question, no, I would not use a functional resume. I would use the layout I've given you, I would make sure that that the content that you are putting into the resume is going to help market you to wherever it is that you want to go. So and some of these, I'm sure it bums you guys out. It bums me out that I don't have more context here, because I could get really prescriptive about all you need to do is, if you're going from here to here, just highlight these things and then, pull them from here. And, it's a lot easier for me to do that. And because you are a boot camper, why don't you, obviously you can ask me that Thursday where we'll have probably I don't know that we'll have a smaller audience, but we'll have we'll spend more time getting at your stuff. And Stacy did mention that how to decide whether you should change jobs is on my YouTube channel. Michelle S., I'm currently working at a top tech company on a contract. Great. Contract role will not automatically become full-time role per recent hiring policy changes. When should I relaunch my job search? So Michelle, what you didn't tell me is when is that contract up? I know you said it won't automatically renew, but if I know now, and I'm in a 6-month contract, or it could be 90 days, could be 180, could be 270, could be the whole year. I'm looking right now. I'm looking. If, assuming you want a full-time role, this company does not guarantee it. I'm looking right now like I'm unemployed. I mean, I'm not spending 8 hours a day doing it, but I'm hitting it day in and day out, week in and week out, and I'm looking for my home. And then if you get an opportunity, you can always go back to the top tech company and say, I got an opportunity. I'd rather work with you. If that's the case, can you convert me? If not, I'm out of here. Here's my notice. And then go. So from a relaunching of your search starts now. Nathan, hey, frankly, I'm glad I'm still unemployed so I could take part in all this stuff. Now that's an attitude, my friend. What's the one thing no one can ever take away from you, ever, no matter how much they beat you down? Your choice in how you choose to perceive this world. Attitude, baby. 9 more months. It's a 12-month contract. Okay, so back to Michelle. Michelle. So Nathan, thank you for that. I love that. I love that outlook, and I love having you here. And I'll see you next week as well. And then Michelle, going back to you, you got 9 more months. If you feel like you don't want to kick this thing up until you get closer, that's entirely up to you. If it's me and I don't have a guaranteed job in 9 months from now, I start looking now. Wouldn't it be better? Right? You're not under any pressure. You're evaluating the market from a position of strength. You can be really choosy. You don't have to jump at the first thing. But if I always tell, as a recruiter, we call out to people. I always tell them, look, dream job's not going to come along when you're looking for it, right? Like kind of thing. Like you're desperate, right? If you absolutely need a job, right, you're going to panic, right? And do you think the world's just going to collide right when you need it to? No, you've got it. And I'd say the same thing to organizations. Your dream candidate doesn't come along when you're desperate, right? You need to be farming the world forever and combing and recruiting and looking and looking and looking. And so I would say the same thing to you. Why not get out in front of it? That's what I would do. Obviously, there's another thing. Everything plays a part. I don't know, Michelle, if you have a partner, if you're married, if that person makes a lot of money, you can afford to live on one income. There's a million things that factor into when. But if you're the breadwinner, sole earner in your family, you got 8 kids to feed, you got and you got 9 months left in this contract, then it's different, right? So I would just consider all those things. You guys are great. Wait, this is nuts like Christmas? What did I do? Man, we got a lot of good stuff coming next week. Deidre, you're the best. I appreciate that stuff. I really do. Josie. Hey to you. I'm doing well. You're welcome. Stacy is right. I love Instagram. I love Instagram. It's my favorite place. It really is. PJ, following you for some time. I already feel like I'm a pro. Oh, awesome. William, what do you got here? Third-party recruiter connected me and completed connected with you and completed 2 separate interview panels. Oh, I'm assuming you mean a company. You did 2 interview panels, selection within the next 2 weeks, discuss negotiation issues with recruiter or wait for offer. Okay, if normal practice, normal is for us, Mile Walk, the executive search firm, when we're working with somebody like William, we're doing all the interacting with the company directly. And William is communicating with me. And we're trying to strategize and all that good stuff. The company is leaning to me and saying, Andy, what's he want? Right? This is natural. They do this, by the way, they do the same things with you. They do that with us. Okay? And so I say, well, hang on. All right. So now there's a couple ways of doing this. You and I, William and I, have talked about generally what's his no-brainer number. Like, Andy, you get me that, I will give you a big fat kiss, and I'm dropping everything, and we're off and running. No discussion needed, right? I know that number. Then there's the floor. Andy, if they don't get here, I don't care what that thing looks like, tell them not to bother. I'm out, right? Like, you can't even get to here. I don't even want to waste my time. Okay, that's all right. Now, that's just an idea for me. It's not, we didn't say that to them or anything. Now what's happening is they want to know where it is. I'm saying, hey, let's see, where do you think? Like, you make them a fair offer. Then you'll get them to say, well, we're thinking whatever. And I'll say, you got to come up from that. Like, to start. Right, like, we're doing this, okay, all the time. We're talking. And then they say, okay, we'll get to here. I'm like, all right, put the paperwork together. Let me see it. Then we get the paperwork. You get it and I get it. Then you and I talk. So, okay, hang on, William. All right, look at this. This is a hole here. Hey, I think we should squeeze them here. Don't worry about that. Hey, I had 10 other candidates I've placed here. This is always a problem. This and that. Let's go for this. Sign-on bonus, extra stock. Right, you're doing all this with me. Then I turn to them and I say, okay, we got 18 things we want, or whatever, 2 things we want. But it's going to be a number of things, usually. Then we're having the dialogue. Then they'll say, okay, what if? Then I'll say, you and I have probably prepped the number. If they say this, Andy, you tell them it's okay. Meaning, for that, I'm yours. Okay, so you wanted 200, they came in at 190, you tell them if they give me 190 and they give me all this other stuff, then I'm good to go. Like, we're doing all this. Like, you're having all this dialogue. If, because that's the normal process, if they do not communicate with the executive recruiter and shoot you an offer, they do not have a good relationship with the executive recruiter, or they don't, right? I mean, like, any executive recruiter worth their salt would never let that happen. Okay, because I want to know what it is. I want to be able to make sure they're not insulting you. I want to make sure that the number is in the right ballpark to start. I want to make sure that the number is sufficiently high so that we only need to do this one iteration or an iteration and a half, so to speak. Like, there's all that stuff's going on. So I want you guys to know, while his question is simple, should I just wait and discuss it with the recruiter? Yes, that's the answer. But you also have to recognize, I would go back to the recruiter and say, what is the normal process that you have with this firm? Do they normally send you, and then you and I would ask them that. And if the recruiter gets back to you and says, well, this is the first time we're actually placing somebody there, then your response is, what did you and they agree the process would be? Because when I took a search, it was, here's everything I need. By the way, here's everything we're going to do for you. Here's what you're not going to see in what we're doing. Then we're going to give you a candidate. Then you're going to do this, that, and the other thing. Then you're going to give them an offer. When you give them an offer, you give them to me. I'm going to have a discussion. Like, we go through all that stuff with any client first time. Right? So, and then anytime they add a hiring official that we're interacting with in their firm, we go through it with them every single time. That's what a recruiter should be doing. So I want you guys to know that, so that when you don't see this happening, and you're like, Andy, well, God, it doesn't look anything like this. There's issues. There's likely issues. better than, more times than not, I would say. So that is a very lengthy answer to work with the recruiter. Tutkalia, my boot camper again, I know you want to change careers because we just talked about it. Do you recommend using a functional resume? No. And then, but the other part of your question here, how about staffing agencies? Definitely no. And wait, I love staffing agencies for contracting work when you have the skill that they are then going to place you in. I'm an accountant. I would like to work with the staffing agency. I just want a temp job. Can you place me? Great. We place accountants, administrators, right? Executive admins. We place project managers, technologists. That's great. You're changing careers. You don't have skills that they need to put into their jobs unless you do have skills that you're going back to or something like that. So that's how I view that. How we doing on time? All right, hey, let me, I got to get running. Folks, I'm totally stoked about next week. Everything's on sale. Grab it. Friday next week's a hard deadline on these sales. Okay, and if you are interested in any of these products and you're not sure, like, hey, Andy, I'm interested in this, but does that have this and that? Just email us at support@milewalk.com. We're here to serve. I'm happy to help you. I want to get you what you need. But if you are on the fence about any of the big programs, the leadership program is a rather modest monthly or annual cost, or a steeper lifetime cost. But the job search coaching program, my big boot camp is on special, the base package for $497. But if you're not sure, you want to dip your toe, all those other products like the mini camp, the job search mini camp, the job search challenge, the interview collection of courses, or the resume workshop, all of that stuff is creditable if you want to upgrade. So those dollars would be moved forward if you ever decide to upgrade to our bigger package. And then in the leadership program, we've got those other, we got the productivity challenge, it's really good, and the goal setting masterclass, and the career accelerator as well. Those are bonuses. So check that stuff out. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being subscribed to the channel. I really like this. I'm glad. I hope we had some others jump in as well. If you like the video, click the thumbs up button. I will see you all Monday. Okay, and look for me in your inbox. Maybe Monday for sure, and we'll get kicked off. You guys be great. Thanks for so much for being you.